All right, welcome to today's workout. Today's workout is going to consist of resistance training and cardiovascular training. We're going to be combining the two. We have 3 rounds, 8 total exercises, 3 exercises in the first round and the second round, and then 2 exercises in the final round. We're going to start with our hip extension with the loop band. We're going to do 20. We're going to do the diagonal shoulder pull and the flat back torso twist. For exercise 4, 5, and 6, we have shoulder flies, clock lunges, and kneeling shoulder press. So we're going to focus on the shoulders. All right, and then for rounds 7 and 8, or for exercises 7 and 8, in round 3, we have our loop band, iso bicep curl with the squat. All right, and we also have the row pose blind spot check. I've demonstrated, it's a long name, but I will demonstrate and come back in mic'd up with commentary. So we will get our gear ready for round number 1. We've done our cardio. If you've walked, if you've done the rowing, whatever the case, we've done the cardio, and we're gonna gear up starting with the loop band hip extension. Don't mind the weather. It was just sunny 5 minutes before this, and all of a sudden the wind starts blowing and snow comes in, and it's 45 degrees and beautiful otherwise. All right, so we've got our hip extension. It's going to work the gluteus. All right, the hip extenders. If we're working on the junk in the trunk, as I hear a lot of people these days call it, this is one of the exercises that works out the junk that's in that trunk. All right, so we're going to be strengthening the hip extensor muscles. These are very important. We're activating piriformis minorly, and we're extending the hip. We're extending the knee partially. All right, so we're talking about quadricep engagement. We're going to be engaging the hamstrings to a certain extent. So this is a great way to activate those muscles responsible for hip movement, hip flexion, especially this one, hip extension. All right, so we jump up, take the loop band off, and then we want to grab our tube band. Now I've got the handles on each side, right? So there's one handle connected to one side of the band and then the handle on the other. But I'm only anchoring one side below the opposite foot. All right, so I'm pulling with the left hand and I'm anchoring the band with the right foot. And as you notice, the length of the starting position right there, it's about pocket height. We want it to be about pocket height. And then we are going to pull diagonally, and this is what it looks like from a profile view. I want to probably maintain a better posture. I want to be more upright. All right, I want my back to be a little more straight. This is I think I put a lot of resistance on this one. So I'm incorporating a lot of power specifically with what I'm doing here on this video. So sometimes when we do things that are really heavy, we compromise the integrity of our exercise, and we want to be wary of that. All right, so for future reference, I'm bent at the knees slightly. Okay, I'm in like a basic warrior position. As I've switched, now I'm pulling with the right arm, and we are retracting the scapula, the rhomboids, the trapezius, the rear deltoids, the superior deltoids. These are some of the muscles that are being worked with this exercise. Now going back to the profile view, again, I might want to bring my chest a little more in the air, keep my head more upright and erected for better posture. Nonetheless, good job. Moving on from exercise 2 to number 3, which is the flat back torso twist. I've got straight legs, or mostly straight legs in this situation. I want the small of my back or my belly button to be pushing down into the ground when possible. We're engaging the core muscles while also twisting. Okay, so this is like a multi-coordinated effort. Great cognitive skills that are required that we can learn and build on by practicing them. We need to maintain our cognitive skills. The older we get, the more they tend to slip from us, as long as we're not training ourselves, and this is a part of it. Now, for those who can't do a full twist, this is an alternative. We're just going to push the left leg over the right leg to the right side of the body. As far as it'll go, no farther. You can push on your own, but we don't want to hurt. We don't want anything to be hurt. So if your range of motion is limited, go to where your full range of motion is. And if you can go to that and maybe push a little past it, that's fine. We want to engage the muscles to do that. This is how we improve our range of motion. We can wake up those muscles, even if it's by doing a modified version like this. All right, nice and easy. We're able to put that foot and that leg over. All right, and this is where you would do your sets 2 and 3, and then gear up for round number 2. So we've done sets 2 and 3 of round 1. We have all of our gear ready. And we move straight into the standing shoulder flies. All right, now these are very similar to our vertical rows. The vertical rows, generally, we have our hands that are going to be closer together. We want our hands farther apart. And again, I'm going heavy here, so I'm going to be, this is kind of a power movement for me. All right, so we're elevating the scapula. So we're using the trapezius muscles, the deltoids, which are, it's like the shell of the muscle that surrounds your shoulder. That's your deltoid. So this is definitely a shoulder abduction. So your deltoid's primarily responsible. We're elevating the scapula, so it's kind of a shrug motion as well. And the fly is highly effective in this way. We can also use dumbbells. If we're in the gym, we can use dumbbells, and I'm pointing to where it's fatigued, all right? So we finish that, and we go directly into exercise number 5. All right, we've got our popular clock lunges. We've gone from 3 full rotations all the way up to 4, and we'll probably go up to 5, all right? And if we do that, I would most likely reduce the number of exercises in that workout, because this can be considered a high-intensity exercise. If you were to do this for an extended period of time, you would get tired rather quickly. All right, now I'm speeding up. You can go at your own pace. We just want to make sure that we do our 4 full rotations. So you can take your time. All right, so we want to stay squared up during the diagonal, especially. Stay squared up right here. I always like to emphasize that because that is fairly off balance. But as long as we're controlled, sometimes life isn't filled with just balance. All right, so we move straight into our kneeling shoulder press. We've done these before. We're going to anchor the resistance band beneath our shins. Now, our shins are going to want to pull up with the resistance band, meaning our knee will flex. But we want to avoid this. We want to focus while doing the shoulder press. We also want to focus on keeping our hips straight, no hip flexion, and no knee flexion. So right now, as I'm pushing up and pressing, I'm actually engaging core muscles in the hips to maintain my position. That's a very good exercise. I highly recommend that one every week, at least once a week. All right, so this is where we would finish sets 2 and then sets 3, and then move into round number 3. And this is where we pick our equipment up from round 2, get things ready for round 3. We have 2 exercises remaining, 7 and 8. We have the glute band, squat, and iso bicep curl. That's a long name. We can name it Oklahoma. We can name it whatever we want. Whatever whatever you would like to do. We can make these workouts personalized every way that we possibly can imagine. That includes naming these exercises your own way. So basically what I've done, I've taken the squat and bicep curl idea and included a loop band. So we want to keep our hip abductors engaged while performing a squat and isometric bicep curls. So we're keeping those biceps engaged. There's no work being done. We're not changing the distance where my hands are. We're staying engaged and we're squatting. About a 3/4 to full squat. I want my bottom towards the ground, weight above the heels, knees above the toes and no further. And did I mention back straight? Always, right? And then we move straight into our row pose blind spot check. All right, so I'm going to be posing in a standing row with my knees slightly bent, probably at about 35 to 40 degrees, more so than normal right here. So that's more like 45 or 50. That's where we want it, right? Now I'm going to do a row. This is a standing row, right? We're pulling and retracting the scapula or the shoulder blade to the rear. With the last row here, I'm going to pause. This is my pose. I'm posing. And then I'm going to check my blind spot, like I'm driving a car and the steering wheel's way too close. All right, so what's happening is the resistance band is pulling you back in, and you are twisting the torso while trying to maintain your pose. And also, you're going to reach with that neck. That's what you would like to do. We want to engage all of those muscle groups simultaneously. And it's just as simple as that. And then we will repeat exercises 7 and 8, 4 sets 2 and 3, and that finishes our exercise. Great job.